Hi, Deborah. This is a rough cut presentation for a type of video presentation I would do for the families that own the horse farm. I've done these in the past and I find them very effective at both explaining and selling ideas to the people involved. And of all the initiatives we looked at, I decided to concentrate on those you're doing, like recycling, and three that I thought would be very effective, three that I actually researched. One was a non chemical fly solution, one was a non harmful pigeon solution, and the other one, as we discussed, was solar. Two others we discussed, but I need to do research on, are organic shampoo and cleaners and horse path and pasture maintenance. So let's look at the first initiative of non chemical fly solution, and this is a brilliant solution, and it's actually organic. This is Mackinac Island in Michigan, and they don't allow vehicles on anywhere but the dock and certain emergency vehicles. Every single other mode of transportation is either by horseback or horse and carriage. So you could imagine the amount of manure and the fly problem on this isolated island that is a tourist type island like Shelter Island. Even the UPS deliveries are made by horse and carriage. The way this is done is with a smaller fly that is a fly predator. These are non invasive, non nuisance, and non biting flies. They don't bother humans or animals. This, as you see here, is called a jewel wasp. These flies are sold by a company called Spalding Labs, and they come in packs like this. Now, Spalding Labs grew out of an equine farm that needed a more sustainable fly solution, so they came up with this system. It is not a permanent solution, however. You have to re up the population about once a month, but it is very effective and completely organic. There's no chemicals used at all. So, the way this works is a horsefly lays an egg, and that becomes a maggot that then cocoons into a pupae. Now, that pupae, after a certain time, becomes another horsefly. But what happens is the jewel wasp lays its eggs inside the pupae. Then the wasp's offspring kill the burgeoning horsefly by using it as nourishment during the incubation phase. 2 to 3 weeks later, they hatch and begin the process again. But as mentioned before, their life cycle is very short, so you have to re up the population every 4 to 5 weeks. Here is a testimony from the island's resident veterinarian.
We used to use DDT, and they fogged this whole island every few days. And it not only took care of the flies, it may well have taken care of many of the tourists, we don't know. But it certainly took care of the birds and the reptiles and the amphibians and everything else that people come here to study as well, because as an island, we're an ecologically isolated little place, and so we have our own unique features. Fortunately, most of that stuff has come back over time. And so the fly predator, he's a natural predator in North America, a normal bug who gets out there and does his job. And the way we're able to make it useful is, of course, by putting many more out there than Mother Nature would have naturally had here. And so it becomes an effective control program by their numbers rather than by some toxin that you put out. Fly predators kill flies by seeking out their pupae, which is a cocoonal state between the maggot and the adult fly. And they parasitize the developing fly. And actually that's their food source, it's their reproductive source, and so consequently it's a natural way to get rid of them. You just have to put an army of them out there in order to be able to get a good fly control program. And I like to call it our good army, and that's what it takes in order to fight the bad army. Fly predators are tiny, minuscule insects, and people stop me all the time and want to see them when I am out distributing these things. And they're amazed at how small they are. And typically you don't see them. They only fly a foot or two high. They go do their job, and that's all they bother is these fly pupae. So they're not on anything. You don't see them. They don't bother anybody, but they do bother the flies. Fly predators are put out on Mackinac Island primarily by me. We put them where there are manure wagons, where there's spillovers. We put them near the barns. We put them wherever there's decaying vegetation.
Now that we have taken care of the flies, let's move on to our next resident nuisance, the pigeon. Our primary focus will be keeping them out of the main horse barn. The droppings are an issue, but I think the main problem was the fact that they dive down on riders as they're riding horses. Now, I think this is a huge liability. If a horse ever got spooked and threw a rider or a child, it could be very, very problematic for all those involved. The way we would do this is to install a black wire mesh with a nylon coating, which is virtually invisible. This is used extensively in buildings to keep pigeons from roosting, and is a cost-effective solution to what could be a very costly liability. Now, as mentioned before, I think the single biggest impact that the horse farm could have on the community and the environment is to install solar power. Now, the benefits of solar energy are very well known, but what is often overlooked are the financial benefits of solar power. Solar power, especially with a large roof like the horse barn, is a great advantage when it comes to economics. Adding solar power to this property will simultaneously add value to the property while reducing your operating costs. As mentioned before when we met at the farm, given the solar orientation of the barns, I think solar is the absolute number one thing you could do for this property to add value, decrease operating costs, and to make an impact on the environment and the surrounding communities. Thank you, Deborah. I hope you've enjoyed watching this as much as I've enjoyed doing it. Again, this is just a small example of the type of presentation I would do for you, the owners, and your renters to look at the future of what could be done on this beautiful farm. Again, it's been a lot of fun, and if you have any questions, give me a call, 631-702-0799, or you can email flavio.espinoza@gmail.com. I pray you and yours are well. Have a great day.